Disneyland is supposed to be a place of wonder, the happiest place on earth, right? That is until the tragedy occurs. So today you guys are gonna know about the tragic deaths at Disneyland. The tragedy in the happiest place on earth. Real tragedies, real deaths. And once you hear them, you will never walk through the park the same way again. So it was a bright summer day in 1973 when 18-year-old Deborah Gail Stone started her shift at the America Sings attraction. She was working as a hostess, guiding guests, smiling, and doing what seemed like a simple job. But within just a week, she became part of one of Disneyland's most horrifying tragedies. That night, something went terribly wrong. As the rotating stage turned, Deborah got caught between a moving wall and a stationary one. The ride didn't stop. No alarms went off. She was crushed to death right in the middle of the show while guests were still watching animatronic animals sing. She was actually the first employee to pass away inside the parks. And here's the terrifying part. Some say she still hasn't left. Cast members claim they have heard a young woman's voice whisper, be careful," in the attraction's control booth. Others swear they have felt someone place a gentle hand on their shoulder when no one else was there. But that's not the only tragedy. In 1966, a 19-year-old man tried to sneak into Disneyland by climbing the monorail track, and a security guard warned him to get down, but he didn't. Moments later, the monorail came speeding through and killed him instantly. Fast forward to January 1984, the Matterhorn roller coaster claimed the life of Dolly Regina Young. She was thrown from her bobsled, then struck and decapitated by the next sled. Investigators found her seatbelt wasn't fastened, but whether it malfunctioned or she removed it remains unclear. In September 2000, a 4-year-old Brandon Zucker slipped out of his right car on Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin. Mickey's Toontown opened in 1988 and it was inspired by the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So of course in January 1994, they opened a ride inspired by Roger Rabbit called the Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. You board these 2-seater yellow cabs and they take you through this little cartoon land. The cabs rotate and in a part of the ride you can actually take control of the wheel and spin it yourself. On September 22, 2000, Brandon and his family were at the Disneyland park. The family went on this Toontown ride and his mother, brother and himself were in the first car. He was the last in the car, so he is positioned right at the opening of the ride where you board. And the cast member didn't properly check if the safety bar was down and locked in place before the ride started. So at one point in the ride, as the car was spinning, as you probably could have guessed, Brent fell out without even having enough time to scream for help. He was ran over by the car behind him, and to make the situation even more tragic, the people inside of that car was his father and his grandmother. Everyone was screaming, his mother, his father, just yelling for help. And to stop the ride, Brandon got pinned underneath the car and was dragged about 10 feet beneath the vehicle, suffering irreversible brain damage. He lived in a vegetative state until his death in 2009. He was in and out of hospitals battling his brain injury, and 8 years later, at 13 years old, he passed away in his mother's arms at the Children's Hospital in Orange County on the 26th of January in 2009. Since then, Disney had put an actual door on the car and sensors in front of the ride. That was the most tragic deaths I've ever heard. Then came one of Disneyland's worst mechanical failures. On September 5, 2003, a derailment on Big Thunder Mountain killed 22-year-old Marcelo Torres and injured 10 others. Investigators blamed improper maintenance, missing bolts, and unsafe procedures. The coaster was shut down and Disney faced legal action. And this is not it. There's the most recent tragedy of all. Employee golf cart accident 2024. Not all tragedies involved guests. In June 2024, longtime Disneyland employee Bonnie Mavis Lair was thrown from a backstage golf cart after hitting a bump. She suffered severe head trauma and died 2 days later. Just last year, her colleagues criticized park safety and Disney's lack of transparency. These aren't myths, these are real lives lost behind the smiles. Disneyland may be magical, but magic can't erase the past. And sometimes even the happiest places hold the darkest secrets. Behind every ride there's a story. Some are happy, some are haunting. Stay curious, stay cautious. And thank you so much for watching this video. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video. Bye.